So I walked out of my apartment. It was noon and it was a nice day, so I thought I'd walk to her house. She lives on 75th and Columbus, which I realize is a very long walk, but I thought the exercise would do me good. I was really hungry, so I stopped at the cafe in my corner for some breakfast and picked up a newspaper so I had something to do. So, I was sitting there, reading my newspaper, when all of a sudden, this waiter comes up to me and asks if I'm alone. Well, it was obvious that I was alone. I was sitting there in a booth by myself. Did he think that I had an imaginary friend with me? I was alone. Did he have to rub it in? Was he trying to be funny? It was in his tone. He asked, "Are you alone?" But what he meant to say was, "Ugh, you're alone, aren't you?" And I can't imagine that he's not alone every single day of his miserable, pathetic life. He had a terrible skin and is not attractive. And not the way that bad skin, or at least the remnants of bad skin, could be attractive on some people, on some men. It's never attractive on a woman. Have you noticed that? Just one more example of the injustices that we are forced to suffer. We have bad skin, we're grotesque. Would a man have bad skin? He's Richard Burton, for God's sake. I hate being a woman. I'm straight. The point is that he is terrible skinned and greasy hair, and his breast is like something dead, and his face is entirely too close to mine. And he insults me with his breath and his tone of voice and asks if I'm alone. I feel my face go flush and I want to rip his head off. I'd like to pull his hair out of his head. I'd never get a decent grip because it looks like it hasn't been washed in a decade. I want to take my butter knife and stab open his sunken, caged chest. But I simply respond, "No, I'm married, thank you." I realize now, of course, my answer was completely inappropriate. I realized it was illogical, but at the time, it's all I could think to say. Well, he leans back and really, in the most supercilious manner, leers at me in tones. I meant, "Are you eating alone?" I knew what you meant. I knew what he meant. I don't know why I said what I said. I just said it. He made me sick. I hope he dies. I shouted, "I knew what you meant!" And I am not a person who shouts generally. I don't like shouting. It hurts to shout and hurts to be shouted at. My mother shouted quite a bit, and I always thought the veins on her neck looked like roots of a tree, but I shouted! And everybody was staring at me because I was standing. I don't remember standing. I didn't mean to be standing, but I was standing. And the place was so crowded, more crowded than I ever recall seeing it before. And suddenly, I realized that these people, my neighbors, gawking at me in endless silence, were the very same people that watched Ford and myself have sex the very first night when we met. I was so humiliated. I thought that I would die or be sick. I was certain that I was going to be sick right there at the table, standing up being stared at. And then my neighbors would mutter under their breath every time they saw me, "Oh, there goes that woman. We've seen her have sex and we've seen her vomit."